Yeah, so welcome to Mwalimu Ignatius Wahome's YouTube channel. And today, my viewers, we are going to cover Form 4 Mathematics. And the topics that we are going to cover is Statistics 2. Statistics 2 in Form 4. So this is one of the most examinable topics in our KCSE examinations. So this one question is most suitable for students who are preparing to sit for the KCSE examination. So therefore, I've provided a question here. I've provided a question here. And the question is this one. This is the question. Now, statistics 2. The question is provided here. The table below shows the time in minutes taken by 160 students to do an exam. These are 160 students who did this exam. Now, you are given the table here. Time taken in minutes, and then frequency. Frequency represents the number of students in that class or in that exam. That is frequency represents the number of students. Now, in this frequency, you can see there is 20, 30, 15, 7, P, 10, 14, 19, and Q. So therefore, in the frequency column, there are two unknown variables. Two variables that are not known. We have P and Q. We need to work them out. We need to work out P and Q. Then, the next question here, first question A. If the mean time was 65.5, mean time was 65.5, that is the actual mean. The actual mean is 65.5 minutes. Calculate the values of P and Q now. P and Q using a working mean of 74.4. The working mean is the one that we also call the assumed mean. The working mean is also called the assumed mean. The working mean is also called the assumed mean in this case. Then part B, calculate the standard deviation. Calculate the standard deviation for this data. So therefore, we have this question here. This is not a simple question. And this one is a very challenging question. Very challenging question in statistics. Now, I want us to see. So when you are told that you are using a mean of 65.5, the actual mean is 65.5. The actual mean is 65.5, and the assumed mean is 74.5. So therefore, we say you find x here. X, this one is a midpoint. The midpoint between 20 and 29. 20 plus 29 divided by 2. 20 plus 29, you get 49 divided by 2. This you get 24.5. That one you get 24.5. You get 24.5. That plus 39, 69 divided by 2, 34.5. This next one is 45.5, 44.5. That is 40. 40 plus 49, that is 89 divided by 2. You get 44.5. This is 54.5. 64.5. 74.5. 84.5. 94.5 and 104.5. That is x. X in this case represents the midpoint. So that's the first column that you make. Now the next column, because you're using an assumed mean, working mean is the one that you're calling the assumed mean. The working mean of 74.5. So therefore you say D, well this is the division from the assumed mean, 74.5. We get that. We get that column. X minus 74.5, the divisions from the assumed mean. So therefore take x minus 74.5. So 24.5 minus 74.5, this becomes minus 50. That becomes minus 50. Minus 40. Minus that. 54.5 minus 74, that's minus 20. 64.5 minus 74.5, that is minus 10, 0, 10, 20, and 30. So that's what you get. That's the divisions from the That's the deviations from the assumed mean. Deviations from the assumed mean, which we are calling the working mean. The working mean. We already given the actual mean is 65.5. So the next column that you make here, the next column, so we can note here actual mean. Actual mean is 65.5 and assumed mean. Assumed mean is 74.5. So 74.5. 74.5. So we want to find the values of P and Q. To find the values of P and Q. So therefore we have that data. We have that data now. We have that data. I want us to make this table. Now we shall add several columns. So this is F and D. Because we are given the actual mean is 65.5. 65.5. So you get the column of F times D. FD. Frequency times the deviations from the assumed mean. From the assumed mean. The assumed mean in this case is the assumed the working mean, or the assumed mean here. The divisions from the assumed mean. That is the divisions. FD. Therefore multiply F times D. So F times D. So 20 times negative 50, that's negative 1,000. That times negative 40, that's negative 1,200. 15 times negative 30, that's negative 450. 7 times negative 20, that's negative 140. P times negative 10, that's negative 10p. 10 times 0, that's 0. 14 times 10, 140. 19 times 20, that is 380. And then Q times 30, that is 30Q. That is 30Q. So we have that. So the first equation to form, once you make this, you can see here we have two unknown variables, P and Q. And because we are told we have 160 students, 160 students, meaning the sum of all this frequency, sigma F, is 160. That is the sum of the frequencies. The sum of the frequencies. So therefore, step number 1 is to find to work out this. 20 plus 30 plus 15 plus 7 plus P plus 10 plus 14 plus 19 plus Q equals 160. So write this. You say P, you say this is 20 plus 30 plus 15 plus 7 plus 10 plus 14 plus 19 there. You get that is 115. So P plus Q plus 115 equals to 160. Therefore, P plus Q must be equals to 45. Once you take this on this side, 115 on the other side, on the right hand side, you subtract 160 minus 115, you get 45. So P plus Q equals 45. Call that on equation 1. Call that equation 1. Because you have two unknown variable, you form with that. Then the next step is to find this, to find now the sum of deviations. Sum of the FD, the sum. So get the sum of this, minus 1,000, minus 1,200, minus 450, minus 140, plus 140, plus 140, plus 380. This comes to minus 2270. That is sigma FD, minus 2270, plus minus 10P, plus that Q, plus that Q, plus that Q, plus that Q, plus that Q. So therefore, you have that. So this is the sum of deviations. The sum of the deviations. The sum of FD now. Deviations times frequency, you get that FD. The sum. So, because we are given the actual mean, and the assumed mean there, and we already have got our FD. So we say that our mean in this case, our mean is equals to assumed mean plus sigma FD over sigma F. We write our working there. Our mean is equals to A plus sigma FD all over sigma f. So what is our mean? Our mean is 65.5. 65.5 plus is equals to 65.5 is equals to assumed mean is 74.5 plus sigma fd. Our fd is minus 2270 minus 2270 minus 10p plus 30q all over the sum of all over sigma f, which is 160, because we have 160 students. 160 students. 160 students. So therefore, you want to find the value of P and Q. So this one, I'm using this method for us to find a second linear equation, because we already have the first one, P plus Q equals 45. The second linear equation, so that we can now find the values of P and Q. So let's see. Bring 74.5 to your left hand side. So therefore, meaning, because this is a positive value, to get this, to bring it here, it's like you subtract 74.5 on this side, you also subtract on this side. You get 65.5 minus 74.5 is equals to minus 2270 minus 10p plus 30q all over 160. All over 160. All over 160. So 65.5 minus 74.5. This becomes negative 9. That becomes negative 9. Negative 9 is equals to. Negative 9 is equals to minus 2270 minus 10p plus 30q. All over 160. All over 160. To remove this 100, to remove the denominator, multiply both sides by 160. Multiply by 160. So that you get times 160. You get this is minus 1440. Is equals to minus 2270 minus 10p plus 30q. I want us to form the second equation. The second linear equation. The second linear equation. So therefore, once you get to that, multiply both sides. So this one cancels this. Multiply both sides by 160. You get minus 1440 is equals to minus 2270 minus 10p plus that q now. Bring this is minus 2270, ama negative 2270. To remove this negative 2270 on this side, you are supposed to add 2270. So therefore, meaning even on this side, when you bring it on this side, you get 1440 plus 2270, because it was negative on this side becomes positive on your left hand side. You are left now with that q minus 10p. Why do you write that? So get this negative 1440 plus 2270. This becomes 830. 830 is equal to that q minus 10p. We are forming the second linear equation. We are forming the second linear equation. We are forming the second linear equation. 830 equals to that q minus 10p. So therefore, why don't you simplify this? 830 equals to that q minus 10p. Minus 10p. So we can write it here. I want to write the second linear equation there. Second linear equation there. You can write it there. We say this is 830. 830 is equal to that q plus, minus 10p. So you can simplify this. All these values are divisible by 10. 10 is a common factor in all of them. Divide by 10, you get 83. 83 is equals to 3q minus p. So therefore, 83 is equals to 3q minus p. Call this one your second equation. Call that one your second equation. Call that one your second equation. Call that one your second equation. Then, as a second equation. So take your first equation and second equation. Solve them. They form simultaneous equation in form 1. They form the simultaneous equation in form 1. So meaning, for you to answer this question in form 4, it's a statistics too in form 4. You must have a basic knowledge in in linear equations in form 1. That is simultaneous, specifically or simultaneous equation. So because this one forms a linear equation, so therefore you get 83 is equal to 3q minus p. So take this, p plus q equals to 45. It is the same as saying 45 is equals to q plus p. That's the first equation. If you rearrange this, p plus q is the same as saying q plus p. I have arranged it like that so that at least we can eliminate, we can solve by elimination. We can solve that equation by elimination. So let's eliminate. Let's eliminate. Let's eliminate. The easiest value here to eliminate. The easiest value to eliminate here is p. So this is, let's eliminate p. This is minus p, this is p. Now, so when you want to eliminate it, is to make the value of p 0. To make the value of p 0. So therefore, this minus p plus p, if you want to eliminate this one, you can only add this. Minus p plus, this is a plus and this is a plus. Plus p. That becomes 0. You have already eliminated negative p plus p. That is negative p plus p. That is 0. Therefore, because you have added this one, you also add this and add this. So you say 83 plus 45 is equal to 3q plus q. 3q plus q. In this case, you get 83 plus 45. That becomes 128. 128 is equals to 4q. Equals to 4q. 128 is equal to 4q. 128 is equals to 4q. Is equals to 4q. So therefore, what is q? Divided by 4. By 4. So 128 divided by 4. This comes to q is equals to that 2. Our value of q is equals to that 2. Our value of q is equals to that 2. So that's how we find the value of q. We have got one variable q. We have q. So find p. Go back to the linear equation. 45 is equals to q plus p. So 45 is equals to q plus p. And q is 32. So 45 is equal to 32 plus p. So therefore find what? Find q. So find p now. Find p. Find p. Find p. Find p. So this p will be now 45 minus that 2 is equals to p. So our value of p is equals to 13. Value of p is 13 and q is 32. And q is 32. So that's how you solve that question. Mathematician. That's how you solve that question. So you can see, for you to find p and q, you must have basic knowledge and basic information on linear equations to solve that question. Then you apply the formula of the assumed mean, how we get assumed mean, and now the mean using the assumed mean. That's the same concept you have used. So therefore, I want us to find the next part. So that is part 1. So I want us to find the standard. I want us to find the standard deviation. The standard deviation now, because you already have p and you have q. You have p, you have q. So you already have those equations there. You have p, you have q. So therefore, what we can do, because you already have p and q, we can remove this. We can erase this now. We can erase that. We can erase that. We can erase that. We can erase that. Note that p now is 13 and q now is what? Is 32. Remember the actual mean. Our actual mean is 65.5 and our assumed mean is 74.5. We have all the details. We have all the details now. We have all the details. We have p, we have q, we have mean, and we have assumed mean. Now substitute here. If our p here, our p is 13, so this value will be 13. Our q there is 32, so our q there is 32. 32 there. So therefore, 13 times negative 10, that is negative 130. So this is negative 130. And this is 30 times Q. 30 times 30 times 32, that you get 960. So this is 960. So therefore, work out the value of sigma FD. Work out the value of sigma FD now with now the correct values, because sigma F is already 160. Go to sigma FD. Sigma FD. So minus 1000, minus 1000, minus 1200, minus 450, minus 140, minus 130, plus 140, plus 380, plus 960. This comes to minus 1440. Minus 1440. Minus 1440. So that is sigma FD. Sigma FD. That is minus 1440. Therefore, I'm writing that one because we require this information, this column, when you're finding the standard deviation. So therefore, come to this. Come to D. Put D squared. Put the column for D squared. And then the last column that you put there is FD squared. FD squared. That is deviations. Deviations squared times F. That is what you're calling off, this FD squared. So now come to this. Come to this. Minus 50 squared is 2500. Minus 40 squared is 1600. Minus that squared is 900. Minus 20 squared is 400. Minus 10 squared is 100. That's 0. 10 squared is 100 again. This is 20 squared is 400. And that squared is 900. We have that. We have that column of D squared. Deviation squared now. Deviation squared multiplied by F. 20 times 2500. That becomes to 50,000. That becomes to 50,000. That becomes to 50,000. 30 times 1600. That is 48,000. You get 48,000. That you get 48,000. 15 times 900. This comes to 13,500. 13,500. 7 times 400, that is 2,800. 13 times 100, that is 1,300. That is 10 times 0, that's 0. 14 times 100, that is 1,400. 19 times 19 now times 400. You get this is 7,600. 7,600. And that 2 multiplied by 900. By 900, this becomes 28,800. 28,800. So therefore, that column, that's the column of FD squared. That column of FD squared. That's column of the FD squared. So you can first of all write that. So that column. So that column. That column. So you can see, you require that information very much. D squared by FD squared. You have FD. You have D. Now, we are doing the columns now. Next step. Next step. Add the column of, find the sum of FD squared. And then, that you get 50,000 plus 48. This is 48. That's 48, 30 times 1600. This is 48,000. That's 48,000. So get 50,000 plus 48,000 plus 13,500 plus 2,800 plus 1,300 plus 1,400 plus 7,600 plus 28,800. That comes to 153. 153, 400. Sigma FD squared. Sigma FD squared is 153, 400. 153, 400. 153, 400. So therefore, as you get that, apply the formula. How do you find the standard deviation? You require the column of FD and FD squared. So when you are dealing with the assumed mean, and you want to calculate the standard deviation of this data, you say S, standard deviation here, the symbol for standard deviation, standard deviation, that is S is equals to, listen here to the formula, it is equals to the square root of sigma FD squared over sigma F minus sigma FD over sigma F into bracket squared, sigma FD squared over sigma F minus sigma FD over sigma F squared. This is the sum, these values that you're getting here, the sum of the FD squared. So that is the formula. So write that formula. So that's the formula you are required to write as a candidate. You are required to write that kind of information. Then the next one is, now apply. You already have the sigma. So S is equal to the square root of 153,400 divided by frequency 160. Sum of the frequency, that's 160. Then minus, this is 14. We have negative 1440 over 160. Then squared like that. So take 153,400 divided by 160. You get this is S is equals to the square root of 958.75 minus 1440 divided by 160. Then you square, you get this is 81. You are subtracting 81 there. You are subtracting 81. So that becomes minus 9. Negative 9 squared is 81. So 958.75 minus 81 there, you get, this is 877.75. You get 877.75. 877.75. Now the last step, find the square root of 887.75. You get the answer is S is 29.63. This is 268. So if you write it to, that is to 4 decimal places, 29.6268. 6268. So leave your answer into 4 significant figures. It will be 29.63. So the final answer there will be 29.63. And that one is the standard deviation. Of that question. You can see that is a very lengthy question, and a question that requires a lot of concentration and a lot of understanding in statistics and in linear equation. So thank you for listening to this very challenging question on statistics. Statistics 2. That's a question. So that's how to find the mean and the standard deviation. Karibu sana to Mwalimu Ignatius Wahome YouTube channel for mathematics subject. Karibu sana.